So today we will start with the debt recovery chapter. We already covered SARFAESI yesterday. Now we will start with DRT, and this law is the recovery of debt due to the banks and the financial institutions. Now this is also called as the Recovery of Debt and Bankruptcy Act. So the lengthy name is being removed. We discussed this yesterday also, why the name has been changed, because post IBC, it is no longer the recovery of debt due to the banks and the financial institutions. Even IBC is covered here. And earlier it was that DRT is only for the banks and the financial institutions. Now the DRT will also have the jurisdiction to take cases of insolvency and the bankruptcy proceedings for the individuals and the partnership firm. So therefore the name of the act is changed. Now we'll study in this entire chapter, we are going to study how the debt recovery tribunal is set, how does it functions, on what grounds you can appeal, how does the proceedings takes place, how different it is from SARFAESI, how different it is from the normal civil procedure code. So lot to know, lot to discuss. Let's go ahead and cover this chapter. First and foremost, the need and the objective. So quite possible this may be asked in your exam. ये आपका एक स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन बन सकता है एग्जाम के अंदर, that why there was a need for this act. So just see, the name has been changed, the Recovery of Debt and Bankruptcy Act 1993. This was passed in the parliament. This was passed with the view to provide for the establishment of the tribunals, the debt recovery tribunals. And what was the objective? For expeditious adjudication and the recovery of the debts to the banks and the financial institution. And now it also covers the insolvency resolution and the bankruptcy of individuals and the partnership firm. So though this was not the objective when it was set up, but eventually now since IBC also covers, I mean the DRT is also covering the bankruptcy proceedings and the insolvency resolution for individuals and firm. So here we have the DRT. And for the matters which are connected therewith or incidental thereto. So this is your requirement. So the same things that I have underlined separately, you can write it this way, that this can be point number one, this can be point number two, this can be your point number three, this can be your point number four. Of course, these two are same, so don't make it two separate points: insolvency resolution and bankruptcy. And this is point number five, that why this law was introduced, or why do we have the debt recovery tribunal in the country. Of course, you can also give a background of this, that before this you had SICA, which covered only the sick industrial companies, and the entire story how we started with our insolvency law. So you can mention that about the Tiwari committee, and then you can write about the Narsiman committee also. So this will again put a little more weightage to your answer if you write all these points. So apart from these, you can also write that the need for this law was because for insolvency resolution, we had Companies Act, and the cases were filed in the civil court or in the high court for the recovery. Therefore, it used to take a lot of time, and the mounting NPAs were happening. So to recover, which was again impacting the economy. So you can write a story. Technically, you all are commerce students. You all can write a proper story and the relevant story. I'm not saying the you can just bluff around, but you can write a proper in a story format. And when I say story format, because you can write it in a very chronological manner. Jessica Act was there, this was the issue, and then that's how this act was there. So it will be a very good answer for you, especially if it is asked for 5 marks. And chances are there that you may get this question both for old as well as the new syllabus. Now, section 1, subsection 4 provides that save as otherwise provided in the provisions of this act shall not apply where any amount is due. So this is where the amount is due. Okay, now this amount is not 10 lakh. This amount has been changed now. This amount is now 20 lakhs. Okay, so this is a amendment which may not be there in your module. I think new syllabus, this is there in your, this amendment is there in your module, but old syllabus, it is not. So establishment of the tribunals, and you'll get it here. I think in the new syllabus module, you are going to get it. Consortium, yes, this is 20 lakh. Okay. So the amount is 20 lakhs right now. So just see, this is not 10 lakh. The amendment is there and I'll just write it here. This is 20 lakhs, right? So this is a amendment. Just keep this in mind. So if the amount is, sorry, if the amount due is less than 20 lakh, then again, you cannot file this. Or such other amount not less than 1 lakh rupees as the central government may specify. So 20 lakh is the higher limit. Government, if it wants, it can reduce. So like how we had in case of IBC, that 1 lakh, which the amount threshold limit can be enhanced up to 1 crore. Same way here you have in the reverse order, 20 lakh is set in the act, and then government, if it wants, it can reduce. It can make it to 10 lakh, it can make it to 15 lakh, it can make it to 12 lakh, 5 lakh, but it cannot make it less than 1 lakh. It cannot say that if the amount due is 80,000, you can file the case into DRT, because not less than 1 lakh rupees, right? So sometimes you'll get this question in, especially in the old syllabus. If you will go through the past questions in the scanner or something, so you will get this question, that what is the amount, threshold amount to file the case in DRT or provided in this act. So whether it is 10 lakh or 1 lakh or what. So it is, the act provides the limit to 20 lakh. And then it also says that the amount can be reduced by the government, but that amount should not be less than 1 lakh rupees. So at present, the amount is 20 lakh, but if the government wants, government can reduce this amount to any amount. It can make it 3 lakh, 4 lakh, but not like below 1 lakh. So you cannot go more than 20 lakh, because the act specifies 20 lakh. You cannot go below 1 lakh, or the central government cannot specify below 1 lakh, because the act says that you cannot go. So the amount due or the amount of default should be between 1 lakh to 20 lakh. I hope this is clear. I hope this is clear. Is this part clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Or
Yes, sir.
should I just explain it? See, just understand that to file the application to DRT, what should be the amount of default? Right, the amount of default. So as per the act, the amount of default is 20 lakhs. Right, this is specified in the act. Thereafter, the act also provides that, but CG may reduce it to 1 lakh, but not below 1 lakh. Right, so you can write it. For example, CG can specify default as 5 lakh. 5 lakh can be done, but can it specify 90,000? Answer
No.
is no. Okay, please take a screenshot of this. Please take a screenshot of this. Just like in IBC, what is the minimum amount of default? The minimum amount of default is 1 lakh. In the act, it is still 1 lakh, right? But CG may extend it up to 1 crore. So can CG make the threshold 90,000? Answer is no. Can CG make a threshold of 2 crores? Answer is no. Can CG make a threshold of any amount between 1 lakh to 1 crore? Answer is yes. Understood? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now again take a screenshot of this. Done?
Yes,
This will
sir.
not be there in the slide, so better you take a screenshot. So the act provides for. So what is the benefit of this? So the act provides for a procedure which is distinct from the existing civil procedure code in order to ensure a speedy adjudication. The act provides for setting up of a separate set of tribunal to hear such matters, and these tribunals are termed as debt recovery tribunal. Okay. And then with the view to help the financial institutions to recover the bad debts quickly and efficiently, the government of India has constituted 33 debt recovery tribunals, and you have 5 debt recovery appellate tribunals all over India. Right. So some cities have 3 DRTs, right? Some cities have 1 DRT. Like if you see Mumbai, there are 3 DRTs. Delhi, there are 3 DRTs, right? But Guwahati has got 1 DRT. Indore has got 1 DRT. Jaipur has got, so tier 2 cities mostly they have 1 DRT, and then there are multiple DRTs in the tier 1 city. Then each DRT is presided over by a presiding officer, and the presiding officer is the judge of the district or the session judge, and a presiding officer of the debt recovery tribunal is also assisted by the recovery officer. So this part is being cropped here because again this part is only essential. The balance part I have already covered in your others balance slide. So this is there. So recovery of the debt due to the banks and the financial institutions. This is the name of the act. The purpose of the act is to establish tribunal for expeditious adjudication, recovery of the debts due to the banks and the financial institutions. But now what do you have? The act name is changed. It is and Bankruptcy Act, and the objective is again this is added newly that for the adjudicating authority for insolvency resolution for individuals and partnership firms, and also for the bankruptcy proceeding. Okay, so that's the reason the name of the act is also changed, and you have these part. Now, recovery of debt due to the banks and the financial institutions and the SARFAESI Act, they are complementary to each other because remedies are available under both the act and they are not considered as parallel proceeding. The same case is also there with SARFAESI and IBC. And the remedy under SARFAESI is an additional remedy. Just remember this part that the remedy under SARFAESI is what? It is an additional remedy. It's a special act. The pendency before, so pendency before proceeding before DRT or initiation of action under SARFAESI, they are still not a ground that the application should not be accepted. The application under IBC will still be accepted, right, for CIRP, because what is the requirement of IBC? The requirement of IBC is only that there should be a default, and the default should be of that threshold amount. If the default is there, then again the application can be initiated here. Civil court will again have no jurisdiction. They cannot entertain any appeal in respect to the matters which DRT or DRAT is empowered to. So Asta ji, before lecture, the doubt session which we were having, I think this was only your doubt. So I mentioned that civil court will have no right to entertain any appeal. So all those matters over which DRT has been given the power, civil court will have no jurisdiction. So any person who intends to raise objection against the action of the bank, the person will have to approach to the DRT only and not to the civil court. So this is that chronology which I have mentioned, that the bank or the secured creditor wants to do the ESI activity. Let's say it wants to take over the management of the business of the borrower. Can he go to the civil court? Answer is no. Civil court will not give any kind of, or civil court cannot entertain the appeal. The suit will be filed, not the suit, basically the application will be made to the DRT. Got it? Is this clear? Right? And then this act has the overriding provision, right? So no jurisdiction, as this act will have the overriding provision. Civil court will have no jurisdiction because this act has the overriding provision, and this is section 34. Sometimes in old syllabus, you may get a question with respect to section 34 of this act. There are certain case laws which are given at the end of the chapter. You can just go through that. Section 34, this act has got the overriding provision. So basically, these are the 3 points. Point number 1, this is point number 2, and this is your point number 3. Then debt recovery tribunal, it will be established by the central government, right? And it will be established. The jurisdiction, power, and authority of the DRT all will be provided when the DRT is being established, DRT is going to be one person tribunal and there will be one presiding officer. Presiding officer is or has been or is qualified to be the district judge. Only then you can be a presiding officer. So this I can tell you, like how you have district court, from district court you have high court, and from high court you have Supreme Court. Similarly, you have DRT, and then you have DRAT, and from DRAT you have the Supreme Court. So just see this, that if you want to become the presiding officer of the DRT, you are basically, you are or you have been or you are qualified to be the judge of the district court, then you can become for DRT. Similarly, what will be the qualification for DRAT? If you are, if you have been, or if you are qualified to be the judge of the high court, then you can become the presiding officer of the DRAT. Or of course, if you have been the presiding officer of a DRT for 3 or more years, then again you can become the presiding officer of the DRAT. So this again is there, but just to understand the entire um, chronology, you will be able to understand that district court, DRT, and the high court you have DRAT. Okay, so this is there. Exam question. These are exam question. The constitution of the DRT. So this is the constitution and the establishment of the DRT. Then the term of the DRT presiding officer will be 5 years or until the presiding officer attains the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. And of course, the presiding officer is qualified to be reappointed subject to the person does not exceeds the age of 65 years. And then the presiding officer will also be assisted by the recovery officer and the other staff who will be appointed by the central government only. Right. So in the DRT, right, in the DRT, you will have the presiding officer, and presiding officer will have the recovery officer, and then there will be other staff who will assist the presiding officer, because ultimately the presiding officer is going to give the order that yes, this property is to be attached, take over this property and all those things. But it is not the presiding officer who is going to do these work. You will have the recovery officer, and then you will have the other staff who is going to assist this presiding officer. DRT is not a civil court. It's a tribunal. It's not a civil court. So since it's not a civil court, so the proceedings before DRT is not a suit. So I just mentioned that you'll have to file a suit, and then I corrected myself that no, it cannot be called as a suit. It is what? It is an application you will have to file, because DRT is not a civil court. Since it's not a civil court, you cannot file a suit to the DRT, right? Also, one more thing, the procedure, criminal procedure code, CPC is not going to be applicable here. So the procedure which will be followed in DRT is provided again in the DRT procedure rules, like how you have the NCLT rules there. Then the DRT can also pass ex parte injunction, that is listening to the one party, and can also part the order. And if you remember, this is the reason the caveat is being filed under section 18C of SARFAESI Act. The caveat is being filed, right? So this is there. Ex parte means again listening to one side, listening to the story of the one side party. So this will be there, but of course it has to observe the principles of natural justice. Now DRT is also empowered to review its own decision, but the application has to be made within 30 days, and it should be supported by the affidavit. Let's say there is a fact which was missed or something. So in all such cases, the review petition can be again filed. The application can also be made, not petition, but review application can also be made here, and it will be supported by the affidavit. So one thing I'll tell you, like how we discussed here, that the civil procedure code is not applicable here since it's not a civil code. Everything takes place through affidavit. Everything takes place through affidavit. So you cannot change your words that, oh, earlier I had said or I had not said, all those things. So everything goes into the affidavit. So this is the reason the application or the entire process becomes little fast. Now, which DRT you are going to approach, right? So you can go to the DRT which is having the jurisdiction of the branch where the account of the borrower, right, or the debt is outstanding, or where the defendant resides or works for gain, or you can file where the course of action has arisen wholly or partly. So in any of the three DRT, you can file the application. So let's say the borrower resides in let's say Mumbai, right? And let's say the loan was taken in, let's presume, Pondicherry, right? And let's say the course of action that has arisen in, that was in Delhi. So any of the three. So any of the three DRT you can go. You can also make application to the multiple DRT, and then you can make a appeal to the DRAT that all the uh, applications should be clubbed together and the proceeding should run in only one DRT, not in multiple DRT. So in case if you have multiple applications that is to be filed. So here you have an option that you can go to this or this DRT. Any DRT you can go. Withdrawal of application, again, the banks and the financial institutions, they can do so if they intend to take any action under SARFAESI, because let's say the bank and the financial institution, they say that, okay, instead of going to DRT, so just understand one more thing. We just read that the proceedings under the DRT and SARFAESI, they are complementary, right? So they are not considered as a parallel proceeding. But at the same time, you also have to understand what DRT is going to do is going to recover your money, and what SARFAESI is going to do, the SARFAESI is also going to recover the money. So let's say you realize that as a secured creditor, you realize that the amount can be easily recovered by doing the ESI activity under SARFAESI, then you can withdraw your application, because ultimately the DRT is also going to do the same thing. So once you intend to take action under SARFAESI, you can withdraw your application. And even if you were ready to take the action under SARFAESI, but you didn't, and you went to the DRT by filing the application against the borrower for the recovery, you can do so. So just don't understand, just don't get confused between this. So sometimes students get confused that, sir, if uh, don't the banks and the financial institution, they come to DRT only when the recovery is not made completely under SARFAESI? So answer is correct. That is not wrong. But it's not that the bank and the financial institution can come to the DRT only when the SARFAESI, the recovery under SARFAESI cannot be made. Right. So if the recovery under SARFAESI cannot be made, the banks and the financial institution can approach to DRT for the balance recovery. This is true. But you cannot say that only after the under recovery under SARFAESI, the bank and the financial institution can approach to the DRT. Do you understand this point? ये पॉइंट आपको समझा? सारफेसी में रिकवरी नहीं होगा तो बैंक एंड फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन डीआरटी के पास जाएंगे, बिल्कुल करेक्ट है. बट आप ये नहीं बोल सकते कि बैंक एंड फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन पहले सारफेसी में जाएंगे, वहां रिकवरी नहीं होगा, तभी वो डीआरटी के पास आएंगे. ऐसा कोई रूल नहीं है. वो पहले भी डीआरटी के पास जा सकते हैं. ओके, इज दिस क्लियर?
Sir.
Okay, sir.
राइट? क्योंकि बैंक को इनिशियली ऐसा लग रहा है that we'll have to give that 60 days notice, then 30 days notice and all those things. Better if we go to DRT and DRT can immediately pass the order, right? So in that case, they may not take action under SARFAESI, they may go to DRT. So this is again going to be a decision which is left to the bank and the financial institution. So if the application is to be, if the application for the withdrawal is to be made, it is to be decided within 30 days from the date of filing. And if the permission of withdrawal is made, the written order will be passed by the DRT that the application is withdrawn. Now, if one bank or the financial institution has made application to DRT, another bank or the financial institution can apply if they have the claim against the same person. Just understand this thing. We have a common borrower, let's say Mansi. Mansi is the common borrower for three banks. Let's say SBI, UCO, and let's say Axis. So SBI has filed the application against Mansi. Right. Now, during the proceeding, before the final order is passed, even UCO Bank can file the common application, and even Axis can file a common application here. Right. So if one bank or the financial institution has made the application to DRT, the other can also join if they have a claim against the same person. Okay. So this can be done so that the matter with respect to Mansi can be resolved in one go. It should not happen that first SBI has come. Now SBI has done the recovery, then UCO Bank will come. The judge will again greet Mansi. Oh, welcome back. Right. After UCO Bank's matter is settled, again Axis Bank is filing. Now the judge would say, द प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर ऑफ डीआरटी वुड से, मानसी एक काम करो, आप यहीं पे अपना एक परमानेंट रेसिडेंस बना लो, एस्टेब्लिशमेंट यहाँ पे रख लो, क्योंकि आपके अगेंस्ट बार बार ये आप कोई ना कोई आता ही है. So why don't you sit here only permanently? So such situation should not arise, and that's the reason for expeditious petition, this is the process. But such application can be made anytime before the final order is passed. Of course, this I mentioned you. Now, the banks and the financial institutions, they can make the application to DRT. Then DRT is going to issue summon to the defendant. So this is step one. Then this is step two. DRT is going to issue a summon to the defendant to show cause within 30 days, right? And then the defendant, that is the borrower. Borrower is going to uh, show cause, right? Also, the defendant will also be asked to disclose all the properties and the assets, right? So you can make it this way. This is point number 3. So this is 3A and this is 3B, right? Direct the defendant to disclose the properties and the assets, and also this is 3C. The defendant will be restrained from dealing in the assets pending till the hearing is being pending. Of course, other than in the ordinary course of business. If the assets are in the ordinary course of business, then again it can be sold, but otherwise you cannot deal. So just understand, they've used the word deal, which means you cannot sell. Of course, you cannot sell, but you cannot create charge, right? You cannot do anything. You cannot do some material changes in your assets, nothing, right? Then in the step 4, defendant is going to reply within 30 days and can also make a counter claim. Now, what do you mean by counter claim? So let's say the borrower, bank has made a claim for 100 crore. The borrower feels that, even my 20 crore is due from the bank, which could be due to anything. So again, the counter claim can also be made, right? So this is how the counter claim has been discussed, right? So let's say the bank's claim is for 100 crore and the counter claim versus the borrower says, even I have to recover 20 crores. So why don't you set off? Why don't you set off? And at last, the borrower would pay only 80 crore. So this is the counter claim, right? So this will be made, and then the defendant will reply within 30 days. This period of 30 days can further be extended, right? So this is 4B, this is point number 5, right? This period of reply can also be further extended by 30 days. And as I mentioned, counterclaim is to set off, and this should be again supported by the affidavit. So like I mentioned, here everything is being given in the affidavit. So you cannot later on say that no, we didn't had this claim, or we couldn't, or this was made by mistake, all those things, right? Now the defendant period of filing of reply can be extended for further 30 days. They can make a counter claim, and if the defendant admits some amount, the DRT can over the defendant to pay the amount. So basically, if you make, if the defendant admits the same amount, some amount, basically, if the defendant believes that yes, I have to pay that money, the DRT can also order the defendant to pay that amount. So let's say a situation like this, where 100 crore is, or let's say this time 1000 crore is the amount of claim. Okay, the borrower, the defendant says that I don't have to pay 1000 crore, I just have to pay 750 crore. ये जो 250 करोड़ का इंटरेस्ट इन्होंने लगाया है या डिफॉल्ट पेमेंट लगाया है, ये पे नहीं करना, मुझे 750 करोड़ पे करना है, इसको वो एडमिट कर रहा है. The defendant is ready that yes, the bank is making a claim of 1000 crore, but the claim is not of 1000 crore, the claim is of 750 crore. 250 crore, as per the borrower, this has been wrongly charged. So I'm not ready to pay this 250 crore. I'm ready to pay this 750 crore if the matter is being closed now. So here the defendant can be asked to pay this 750 crore. Of course, it's not that this 250 crore would be waived off. This 250 crore would be again discussed. The matter is subjudized. So the matter is going to be discussed in the DRT, and at the end of the proceeding, we will decide whether 250 crore has to be paid or not. Got it? Ultimately, the bank will get this 750 crore. So to the bank, it will be like 750 crores. You have got it. For defendant, it will be like, okay, you also agree to pay 750 crore. So pay this 750 crore to the bank. We can just discuss about this 250 crore, whether you need to pay or not. So this way, the matter again, like how do you say expeditious recovery? So this is how the recovery is being done. So the defendant admits the amount, the DRT can order the defendant to pay the amount within 30 days. So if the defendant does not reply, then the DRT can direct such person to be detained in the civil jail for a term not exceeding 3 months, even after, of course, after giving a reasonable opportunity of being heard via personal hearing, right? Then the evidence which is being done, this all will be by way of an affidavit. So I mentioned you, the proceedings, whatever happens in the DRT, it is by way of the affidavit. So you cannot later on deny the fact that this statement was not made or these claims were not correct, whatever it is. So this is the benefit of the evidence which is to be taken on the affidavit. Now, cross examinations, this can also be allowed, right? But only if the DRT. So, like how you see a Bollywood, typical Bollywood movie scene where the lawyers from the or the counsels from the opposite ends, they start discussing about ये ऐसे है वो वैसे है, you make all those claims. So here cross examination is not allowed. It is not allowed. Even if it is allowed, it is only allowed with the permission of the DRT. And if DRT is of the opinion, only then that the personal hearing should be given, only then it is allowed. Otherwise it is not allowed. And just understand, firavilis cross examination will not be allowed. What is firavilis? This is carefree or superficial. I'll write it. This font here is extremely bad, though it's my own handwriting, but I can write it here better. So firavilis means carefree or superficial. So I hope now you understand how the proceedings become little fast. Now, if the defendant, if it feels that the borrower is likely to obstruct or delay or frustrate the execution of the order for the recovery of debt. In that case, the DRT will ask the defendant to furnish a security. So this security would be by way of, let's say, a bond, right? Or in case of a bank guarantee, right? This will be made that if the borrower is going to do all these things, this bond or this bank guarantee is going to be invoked, right? And the amount will be recovered, right? So this is after giving him a show cause notice and opportunity given. So just understand, if the DRT or if the defendant, the borrower is likely to obstruct, like unnecessarily the person is making the claim or delaying the payments and all those things, here it can do. Also, the DRT is going to appoint a recovery officer to receive the property of the defendant and take into the possession. So this is again if the DRT feels that the defendant is likely to obstruct, delay, or frustrate the execution of the recovery amount, right? So DRT has mentioned that yes, you need to pay that 750 crore and the person is not paying that 750 crore. So under SARFAESI, if these are going to happen, then the secured creditor is going to approach which person? Whom the secured creditor is going to approach if this happens under SARFAESI. If this happens under SARFAESI, the secured creditor is going to approach
वो सर सेक्शन 14 में सीएम
Chief Metropolitan
चीफ हाँ
Magistrate
हाँ यस
or
सर
the District Magistrate.
डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट
But here DRT is not going to approach the magistrate. DRT will straight away appoint the recovery officer. Okay. And the recovery officer is going to take over the property and take it into the possession. Also, if DRT believes that no, while passing the order, just imagine a courtroom proceeding which is happening. The judge has, the presiding officer of the DRT has passed the order that borrower, you need to pay 750 crore to the bank, and the borrower gives a very wicked smile to the secured creditor, abhi recovery karke to dekh. So the presiding officer notices this. He will immediately say, just wait, provide a security, just write a bond or give a bank guarantee of 750 crore, right? And then you have 30 days to pay the amount. So if you don't pay within these 30 days, we are going to invoke this bank guarantee and we will do the recovery. Do you understand the situation, guys? Do you get this point? How the defendant may obstruct or may delay or frustrate the execution. So any such thing is going to. So though this was quite a filmy scene that I have given, but just understand the borrower is not basically if it's a plant and machinery. The borrower is saying that no, the plant and machinery cannot be dismantled. There is a issue. Electricity is not there. I'm not finding the labors, right? Who is going to dismantle the machine? So I have called the engineer. This machine I had imported from Germany. So the person, German engineer has to come. So there is pandemic going on. The German engineer cannot come, or let's say any such thing. So in such case, the DRT will again ask the borrower to furnish the security, and this actually happens. Okay, the DRT will also issue to the recovery certificate to the recovery officer along with the final order. So based on this recovery certificate, the recovery officer is going to uh, recover the amount, and this is going to be the deemed decree, or it is going to be the deemed order of the court. So there will be no problem in taking the possession. The final order is going to be passed within 30 days from the conclusion of the hearing. So this is another point, right? And just understand, you are being given two hearings. Two hearings is given to both the sides. Two hearings is going to given to the both the sides. So technically, efforts should be made that the entire proceeding gets over within 180 days. The effort should be made like this. Okay.
बट सर आपने पहले बोला था कि ये एक्स पार्टी भी दे सकते हैं तो
हाँ, बट एक्स पार्टे कब? अगर डीआरटी को फील होता है तो इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी दैट डीआरटी इज गोइंग टू पास द एक्स पार्टे ऑर्डर.
ओके
इट्स नॉट मैंडेटरी फॉर द डीआरटी टू पास द एक्स पार्टे. इट्स नॉट, हर समय ऐसा नहीं करेंगे. अगर डीआरटी को लगता है कि नहीं, वो नहीं हो रहा, हियरिंग के लिए डिफेंडेंट को बुला रहे हैं, डिफेंडेंट नहीं आ रहा है या वो प्रॉपर रिप्लाई नहीं दे रहा, तो
तब
फिर
एक्स
एक्स
पार्टी
पार्टे ऑर्डर पास कर
ओके
सकता
ओके
है. ओके, देन द रिकवरी पावर after the issue of the certificate. So now the recovery power, basically we are going to discuss about the recovery officer. So recovery power of the recovery officer we are going to discuss here, right? So here the recovery officer can recover the debts by one or of the more of the following. So it can attach and sell the movable or immovable property of the defendant. It can also take possession of the property over which the security interest is created. It can also arrest the defendant and his detention in the prison. It can also appoint a receiver for the management of the movable or immovable properties of the defendant. So basically, if you can see, it's the same thing which is being given to the bank and the financial institution under SARFAESI. So all these things are there. And if there is any other mode of recovery, that can be done. So this is one of the important question, how the recovery will be done. So the recovery can be done by these five. So if you see, these four are same like your section 13 subsection 4, except for this arrest. Now since it's a tribunal, so arrest can also be done, right? And the validity of the recovery certificate, it cannot be challenged before the recovery of. So basically, the validity of this recovery certificate cannot be challenged. You cannot say no, this is not a valid certificate, court ko bulao, ye bulao, all this cannot be done. So the presiding officer, though, it can also withdraw the certificate if there is any clerical error, any arithmetic mistake. So presiding officer can withdraw the certificate, but this recovery certificate cannot be challenged before the recovery officer. So while the recovery officer has come for the recovery, you cannot say no, this cannot be done. So this is there. Then the appeal against the order of the recovery officer, of course, this can be made at DRT. So if you feel that the recovery officer has exceeded his power, exceeded his limit, I'm sure you all must have just come across that Tripura district magistrate case where he interrupted and he slapped the priest in a wedding. Have you all seen that news? Over abuse of power, right? No, you have not seen that, Shailesh Kumar Yadav? Okay, anyway, good if you're away from the social media. This came into my YouTube feed, and even this was also trending on the Twitter. So, of course, if you believe that the recovery officer has exceeded his power, right? In that case, so the recovery certificate cannot be challenged, but the actions of the recovery officer can be challenged before the DRT. So, appeal you can make, right? Then the proceedings against the guarantor before the DRT. So, what is this? Basically, uh, technically, the liability of the guarantor is coextensive with the principal debtor. What do you mean by coextensive? It is same like they are collectively liable, the guarantor as well as the principal debtor. They are collectively, the principal debtor here is the borrower.
मतलब जैसे सरफेजी में गारंटर के पास डायरेक्टली जा सकते हैं, इसमें भी जा सकते हैं।
Yes, yes, absolutely,
सर,
absolutely.
और
Yes.
एक चीज मुझे और पूछनी थी कि जैसे कि इसमें सिक्योरिटी इंटरेस्ट सरफाजी में कंपल्स इसमें जरूरी है क्या कि
नहीं,
सिक्योरिटी इंटरेस्ट
नहीं,
होना?
नहीं,
नहीं
नहीं,
ना?
नहीं,
ओके ओके
इसमें जरूरी नहीं है,
ओके।
right? So the proceedings can also be made before the guarantor, against the guarantor before the DRT. The proceedings are absolutely going to be same. Then if you want to make a appeal, the appeal can be made against the order of the DRT. So the appeal will be made at the debt recovery appellate tribunal, right? The recovery, this appeal will be made at the debt recovery appellate tribunal. So there are 5 DRAT, 4 metro cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata, and one at Allahabad also, right? And the appeal should be made within 30 days from the order. And also the borrower needs to deposit 50% of the amount, which may be reduced to 25%, right? Also, you can also appeal against the order of the DRT in IBC. So it's the appellate authority, right? The adjudicating authority is the adjudicating authority is DRT, and the appellate authority is DRAT, right? So this is there. So again in IBC. So don't forget to write this part also. That of course the order which is passed by the DRT is appealable. So even in case of IBC, right? Now let's see the composition of the DRAT. So in case of DRAT, there will be a chairperson. The qualification will be one, as I mentioned, the person has been or qualified to be the judge of the High Court, or if the person has been the presiding officer of the DRT for 3 years or more, and if the person is a member of the Indian Legal Service grade 1 for at least 3 years. Then during the moratorium, again application cannot be filed to the DRT, basically DRT for the recovery, right? Guys, this is clear, right?
सर, वो मोराटोरियम मतलब ये आईबीसी
IBC,
का?
yes,
ओके ओके।
yes, I'll write it. IBC wala, right? Now, Lok Adalat. This is another important chapter. This is another important question from the exam. Most repeated question from this chapter is the Lok Adalat. So Lok Adalat is nothing. It is a special Adalat which is being set up. So basically I've made the jotted down all the points in short so that you can write the same points in the exam. So Lok Adalat are the special Adalat to resolve the small disputes, right? Recovery, it is for the speedy recovery of the cases, again in a most cost effective manner because you don't have to file the petition applications and all those things. Also it is organized at multiple places. This helps the bank and the borrower to settle the matter or enter into the compromise, right? This happens So basically it's like a informal, like how do you have the arbitration? Don't use this word in the exam, but like how you have arbitration, same way you have lok adalat is kind of out of court settlement. The decisions are not binding, okay, because the decisions which is passed by the lok adalat, this is not the order. However, you need to understand one thing, that if the decisions are taken with the consent of the borrower, then again it cannot be challenged to DRT. This becomes legally binding. So if the decisions are concluded in the meeting mutually, so if both the parties have mutually decided, and then you need to go to them. So basically what is going to happen, just see. So you have the lok adalat. In the lok adalat, right, the parties have mutually agreed, right? Now they need to approach DRT. Approach DRT, and straight away you need to obtain the order. Now this order will be binding. Till now it was not binding. Now it will be binding. Got this point? Guys, got this point? So just by mutually agreeing, it is not binding. So the moment in the Lok Adalat a resolution is reached, what is going to be the next course of action? Immediately approach the DRT and straight away obtain the order. And this is going to be so.
सर जो लोक अदालत ने जो दिया है ऑर्डर उसी को ही इमीडिएट अप्रोच करना है डीआरटी को
लोक
कि
अदालत में आप टेक्निकली ऑर्डर नहीं ले रहे हो, लोक अदालत में म्यूचुअली अग्री करते हैं. सो लेट्स से दिस इज लोक अदालत. You have the borrower, you have the secured creditor. So the Lok Adalat is going to discuss the matter. So like arbitration,
ओके सर
right? They come to a point that okay, this is the on which the borrower also agrees. This is the point on which the secured creditor also agrees. So let's
ओके
go
सर
ahead now. So now you need to approach the DRT, and then this should be converted into the order. So just see.
ऑर्डर
So
ओके सर
if the decision is concluded mutually, obtain that order or obtain the order for the same from DRT. Once you do that, then it becomes legally binding. Otherwise, it will not be legally binding.
तो सर यहाँ पे डीआरटी वो भी तो कर सकते हैं ना रिजेक्ट भी तो कर सकता
पर
है
डीआरटी
जरूरी
क्यों
थोड़ी ना
रिजेक्ट
कि
करेगा? आप ये देखो, म्यूचुअली दोनों पार्टी अग्री कर गए ना.
ओके सर
Ultimately, at the end of the day, DRT is, see why you want to take this, because कल को सपोज करो आपके और मेरे बीच में ही झगड़ा है, ठीक है, और आप और मैं हम दोनों लोक अदालत में अग्री कर गए, लेकिन आपको डाउट है कि ये आनंद पता नहीं पैसे देगा कि नहीं देगा, बाद में मुकर भी सकता है, करेक्ट?
ओके सर
सो
तो
आप
वो
क्या
उसको
बोलोगे?
आप
हाँ, सो टू
अच्छा हाँ
सिक्योर, तो आप बोलो कि एक काम करो, आप अग्री करते हो ना, चलो एक काम करते हैं, दोनों जने यहाँ से डीआरटी में चलते हैं, और डीआरटी में जाके जो वहां पे प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर है उसको बोल देते हैं कि इसी को ऑर्डर में डाल दो, क्योंकि आप दोनों अग्री कर रहे हो. सो डीआरटी इज जस्ट गोइंग टू कन्वर्ट what both the parties have mutually agreed into a order, so that it has a legal binding effect. So now if I don't pay in future, then Asta ji, you can go to the DRT for the recovery proceeding. The recovery officer will straight away, basically the presiding officer will straight away pass the order to the recovery officer, and the amount will be recovered.
ओके
If this was not done, then the matter would have started from fresh, because DRT would have said मेरे को तो पता ही नहीं है क्या बात हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ, चलो पूरा मैटर मेरे को बताओ. आया आपको समझ में?
ओके
तो लोक अदालत का यही फायदा है कि आउट ऑफ द कोर्ट ऑटोमेटिकली सेटल हो जाता है. इससे दो मैटर्स होते हैं, वन इज कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव एंड एक्सपीडिशियस मैटर gets, the matter gets resolved,
रिजॉल्व
and secondly the pressure on DRT gets reduced,
ओके
right? Then again, Lok Adalat can be approached if the matter is not pending before. DRT or DRAT. If the matter is pending before DRT or DRAT, then of course Lok Adalat cannot hear the matter. Okay, so this is it in your debt recovery chapter, right? I hope this must be a easy cakewalk for you now. This will be. This is not very technical. It's a very simple chapter, right? Just go through all these material and let me know if there is any doubt. Otherwise PYQ session में तो इसको हम लोग कवर करेंगे पूरा इसके क्वेश्चंस
सर
को.
ये
Yes.
एक्ट कैसे ओवरराइडिंग इफेक्ट होगा सर, उसके बारे में एक बार
Section
बताइए।
34 simple. Section 34 clearly बोलता है this act is going to have a overriding effect over the other law. Just see. Section 34 simple. There is a section in this law which says that now you don't have to read all these part. Simple. ये रहा section 34. Section 34 provides that save as otherwise provided under subsection 2, the provisions of this act shall have effect notwithstanding anything inconsistent here with contained in any other law for time being in force or in any instrument having effect by virtue of any other law other than this act.
सर और जो ये सबसेक्शन में दिया है वो उसको पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है ना सर?
किसको?
ये जो सबसेक्शन 2 में दिया है इसके
Subsection 2 क्या बता रहा है आप ये देखो. Subsection 2 states that the provisions of this act or the rules made thereunder shall be in addition to and not derogation. So आप देखो subsection 1 बता रहे हैं that ये सबको override करेगा.
ओके
सबसेक्शन
सर।
2 ये बता रहे हैं इन एक्ट्स को ये ओवरराइड नहीं करेगा, इन एक्ट्स के ये साथ में रहेगा. अब आप पढ़ो फिर से. सबसेक्शन 2 states that the provisions of this act or the rules made thereunder shall be in addition and not in derogation
डेरोगेट
to IFCA, SFC, UTI, IR, BI, SICA and SIDBI. ओके,
ओके सर।
जिसमें सिक्का आप ऑलरेडी आउट हो चुका है. रीड दिस केस लॉ. Read this case law that IBC is going to prevail over SARFAESI or not. Read this case law and like I
ये न्यू
mentioned,
सिलेबस में है शायद
हाँ ये
हमारे
न्यू
लिए।
सिलेबस के अंदर है. ये न्यू
ओके
सिलेबस के अंदर है. And like I mentioned that when we have that case studies discussion for both old and the new syllabus students, the multidisciplinary case study discussion when we are going to have, that time we'll discuss all these case laws. So till then you can read this judgment and try to get an understanding whether IBC is going to prevail or SARFAESI is going to prevail if both the proceedings take place, right? Don't just read it from here, read it from the multidisciplinary case study module also. I will put the relevant extract in your folder so that you can go through. Pick up one judgment every day. It won't take more than half an hour to read one judgment completely. And if you don't uh, come across, or if you're not able to understand the judgment well, the best thing is just go and Google. You'll find some newspaper article, you'll find some research article of the law firms, right? Or you will also find video clips on YouTube because all these are recent case laws. So you'll find some Bloomberg, Quint, or CNBC TV18 news judgment discussing about that case because all these are large cases, right? So landmark judgments are also covered there. So all that you will find it there. So that will help you to understand the law. And thereafter, if you read the judgment, it will become very easy for you to interpret. Personally, even I do the same. So a lot of the judgments which are passed before, so especially for takeover regulations, I did the same thing to get the understanding. I used to go through the judgments, and if there is anything which I'm not able to correlate, I used to find if there is any article on that, a newspaper article of let's say 2000, 2001, 2004 case. If I used to get that article, that used to give a good insight. And also the YouTube. YouTube is definitely, it's a wonderful tool. So the newspaper clipping, I'm not telling about the other videos. I'm just telling you, just go to the news only because there you are going to find the precise material and that helps you to understand the fact of the case very well. So the confusion that comes is in the fact of the case. So the fact of the case, you can clarify it there. First, read the judgment. If you're not able to understand the fact of the case, even after reading the judgment, then you can do this. And then, of course, you know the law, you can apply whether it is correct or incorrect, and then just see what courts have interpreted accordingly. Okay.
Okay.
All right, then. That's it for today's lecture. Take care. Bye bye.